Cześć pokututa, please Takrenko. Jak Oscar.
I love you.
Hey, it's been a while, but I'm back with a new Mafex to review. It's the Avengers Endgame Captain Marvel. This is my favorite look for the character we've had thus far, and this look is actually pretty well represented in action figure form. We had the Marvel Legends that came in a 2-pack with Rescue. We had an SH Figuarts version of this that came out a while back, and now we have the Mafex. Been looking forward to this one, it's finally here, so let's take a look. Well, here it is, and it probably comes as no surprise that I really like this figure. Another great one from Medicom and Mafex. Excellent stuff. I love the color scheme for one. I mean, the design in general, the blue on top with the red on the bottom, I really like that from Endgame, and they've done a great job with the color, as always, with Mafex. You can see the red parts here. They have some texture to it, but it's still a little glossy. It's got kind of a metallic look, whereas the blue is very glossy. Just superb paint. I love the gold accents. We have all the details you would expect with a Mafex release. We'll get a little closer to take a look at those. Up close here, you can really see the level of detail. If you look at the red, we have a bit of a cloth texture, but it works really well with the paint because it's still reflecting that light in a really cool way, giving it a bit of a metallic feel compared to the blue, which is a lot glossier, but they work really well together. You can see the folds there on the sash. Looks excellent, and again, bit of a mixture. The gray here is a bit of a duller, more matte coat. We have all those lines that you always see in MCU costumes. A bit of sculpting in the joint so that when you move it, it doesn't look shitty. You can see on the hair there is what looks like a paint wash. Really brings out the sculpt, gets into those crevices, gives it a really natural hair look. The figure has a lot of presence. I think it's a great design for Captain Marvel, and Mafex has done a great job of putting that into action figure form. A good assortment of accessories with Captain Marvel. We get one alternate head, 5 pairs of alternate hands, technically 6 because these effects parts are also alternate hands, and then effects parts that you can clip onto her, kind of reminiscent of their Thor releases, which had lightning parts you could put on him. For the hand parts themselves, it's a pretty good mix. As well as the fists, you get relaxed hands, splayed out hands, slightly flatter splayed out hands, semi-gripping hands, and I guess you call them hang 10 hands. And like I said, these effects parts also have hands sculpted into them. So you can see that will just pop in on the hand peg. And I really like these blast parts. You get 2 of these, and you get 2 of these. Then you also get these effects parts which clip onto her body. I'm going to get all these going and see how she looks. Here she is with all the effects pieces on her. It's basically 2 per limb, and I've put 2 of the effects hands on as well. It wasn't too tough getting them on. These pieces are pretty pliable, but I was worried that they would scratch the plastic up because they're kind of sharp. And overall, I don't love this look. I wish we'd gotten a head, for one thing, to have the full binary Captain Marvel effect. I just don't think I'm going to display her like this. I'd rather just have the sculpt on full display. Regardless, they're there. And if I do use any of these, it'll just be the hands or the blast effects here. You get an alternate head, which is a bit more of a pleasant, semi-smiling face. I really like both these head sculpts. I think the likeness is pretty good. Looking at articulation, it's a lot of the stuff you'd expect on a Mafex figure. As usual, we have 2 joints, one in the lower neck and one in the head here. She looks that far down, this far up. Not as much as I'd like, especially with a flying figure like this. Side to side is very good. A lot of motion there. We have a pretty good butterfly joint in the arm. Takes you that far forward, that far back. One thing I noticed was that if you pull this up, the arm tends to pop off, but you just pop it right back in, and you'll see this piece just kind of hides the joint there. But it's as simple as just popping that back in. We do have a bicep swivel, double jointed elbows that go up that far, the usual peg wrists, but they really don't have a lot of motion. So this one I've got going this way. And that's the motion you get. This one I have pointed the other way. And that's the range. And it's probably due to these cuffs here. They just don't allow for a ton of range. We have 2 joints for the torso. And I'll say this one is hidden very well by the sash. It's pretty seamless, but if you bring it up, it looks rough. Now, while the sash covers it, if you move the leg up, it can disrupt that and make that joint visible. So combined, these go this far back, which is very good. And not as much forward, which is something that's kind of plagued Mafex figures, especially Spider-Man. They just don't go very far forward. In this case, I think it's fine. Some decent left and right motion. The legs go up that much, back that much. And not very far to the sides at all. I don't want to mess with it too much because I don't want to break it, but you can see there's not a ton of space for it to move out. We have double jointed knees. Bit of an ankle rocker, but again, it's impeded. Still, you can maneuver it around and get some decent range on it. We do have the toe joint as well. It's pretty good, and that will not go down. You can see there, that's preventing it from going down. One little bonus thing, all Mafex figures come with these stand pieces. It's very handy, especially if you want a figure off the ground in a flight pose. But mine came with a defect, so it should look like this on both ends, so that one bit can go into the stand, the other one can have the little hook. But this one is missing a piece, and you can see it's still screwed in. So the plastic has some stress on it. It should have one of these in it, but I guess they missed this one. Comparison time, I've assembled some other Mafex Avengers. Here we have Iron Man and Captain America. And here she is with Infinity War Thor and Far From Home Spider-Man.
I love you.
So, Mafex Captain Marvel. I'm a big fan. This is actually my first Captain Marvel action figure. I really like this Endgame look, the costume, the hair, and when Mafex announced they were going to do one, I was absolutely on board. I pre-ordered the Marvel Legends 2-pack, but as soon as this was announced, that was out the window. I completely love the look of this, the paint, the sculpt, everything. The accessories are pretty good. I think it could have used an alternate glowy head. A helmeted head would have been cool. I know we didn't see a helmet in that movie, but there is concept art of a helmet, and I love the helmeted look. Maybe a nano gauntlet for her to hold would have been cool. You know, at the Mafex price point, you really wanted to cover all bases. But, I mean, I'm a big fan of this. I'm happy to add it to the shelf. Is it a must-buy? Probably not. Is it better than the Fig Arts release? I don't know. From what I've seen, the head sculpts on this are more accurate. That one had pretty much the same accessories, just less hands, less effects parts, just one head. If you're a Captain Marvel fan, this is probably the best interpretation of this suit and maybe the best Captain Marvel figure at this scale. I'm certainly happy with it. I don't know if I'll ever need to upgrade from this. Let me know what you think in the comments, and if you have other versions of Endgame Captain Marvel, let me know how those are. I'm kind of curious about those. If you enjoyed the review, check out my others. I've reviewed a few other Mafexes, done some comparisons too, and if you really like it, give me a sub. Either way, thank you so much for watching.